What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Crane Kicks Lex podcast. We've got a full house here. Jess is here. We got Dylan. We got Kyle. Everybody's here. This is great. Um, I feel awesome about talking about this weekend. It feels like such a good weekend to just kind of be like, whew, all right. Like we're doing good and we are starting good. And so now we have lots of good to talk about, and there's nothing better than that. Um, like real quick though, before I get the check in with you guys, I got to know everybody's K-pop Demon Hunter count at this point. I think I'm up to 75, probably. My
Does this include
children,
watching the movie and listening to the soundtrack? If so,
I'm at
it's
a
never
million.
stopped.
Then I'm at a million. Yes.
Yeah.
My youngest runs around with toy swords, singing "Takedown" and then running up behind me and hitting me in my torn hamstring, because apparently I'm like the evil guy off of the movie or something. I don't know. But I wake up like with night sweats with the soundtrack in my head, and I'm like, "Takedown!"
Yep.
And then that's just my life now.
It's constantly what is it, earworm? Is that where
Yes.
like a song? Yeah. Constant earworms, listening to it in the car, getting pumped in the morning before school. We'll put a song or two on. Like it's always going in here in our house.
I'm embracing. I'm using it for my like cringy dad stuff. Like the youngest will be like, did I put my shoes on the right foot? And I'm like, yeah, that's how it's done. And they're just like, stop doing that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Now it's like a weird trigger. I have to say it. It's automatic. I've got the microchip in the brain now that Netflix implanted. Dylan, I
Yep.
know you don't have Netflix though, so your count's at 0. Kyle, you got to start watching because you're about to be a girl dad. So like,
Yeah,
you better get ahead of the jump.
I mean, you say
I'm in
that
June.
you're a
Although,
boy dad though, and
oh
it's
yeah, for
still
sure.
like
Oh
so.
yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
A kid,
No,
a parent.
yes, you're about to
The
be a
kids
parent.
get on stuck on a movie or show, and it is just get used to it.
We're locked in all day, every day.
Bluey's another one.
Mm-hmm. So Kyle, start pumping those
Yeah,
numbers up,
we're
dude.
probably only watch and listen to things that I like. You know, that's my
Oh
plan.
yeah,
Breaking
Yeah,
Bad,
So
Game
yeah,
of
Breaking Bad,
Thrones.
Game of
the Colts
Thrones.
losing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah, yeah.
You know
It's
the
gonna be a
the
long
good
year.
stuff. Yeah, as it will.
I'm
Oh,
like,
man.
I wonder how many. What's the over under on the Colts wins by the time she's born? If her due date's mid-November, like maybe one, maybe two.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a
you
long
never know
season.
though.
2.5.
Maybe they'll get a
Yeah,
win near
I'd
her
still take
birthday.
the under.
You know, it'll be fine. And you know what? Honestly, though, you don't want to bring her into this world with too high of expectations. So you want the true Colts experience. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like me. Coop was born into the disappointment of the Vikings. It was after the Minneapolis Miracle, and then we lose right after that, and then it's like this is the highs and the lows. Like this is what we're doing right now. So
Yeah.
got to keep it authentic.
And when was the last Vikings? When was the last Vikings Super Bowl win again?
Long ago. It's in the ancient
You mentioned
text.
highs. I just didn't. I didn't know there were any. But
I mean, there are lots, Kyle. We have
I think
Justin
there's
Jefferson.
exactly 0.
So first of all, write that down.
What happened after
Sure.
the Minneapolis
Sure.
Miracle, too, by the way?
I don't know, something about Philly fans destroying their own city.
Oh,
Something like that.
I
don't know.
I think I've watched K-pop, whatever you said earlier, the same amount of times the Vikings have won the Super Bowl. So
Oh my
just to bring
goodness.
this all full circle.
Okay, sir. And we were like coming in here with violence. You know,
Hey,
I'm
you
gonna
came
switch
after
to
me.
soccer
I'm the
now.
man. I'm
switching
40.
to soccer now. So I don't like where this is going. So yeah, you know, we're gonna talk about blessings now. We're gonna talk about how we're all #blessed.
Stay blessed.
Hey, the worst kept secret ever. We even talked about it on here because Tom Bogert he broke the news, but it's official. We got Latif Blessing here. I am super hyped. I mean, he had his own like hype video. Like, how often do we do that for a singular player? You guys
Wait.
even like think of that? Like a player that's joined the club and we release their own like hype video?
I mean,
I mean, we did for every single player in year one, but thanks for consuming our content. But
But you know what I mean. You know what I mean?
no,
Like
I
where it
know,
was
I
like
know.
a late
Especially
signing, and then they're
mid-season.
like, yeah,
Mid-season's
it's
like,
like,
whoa.
yeah. Usually our mid-season signings, it's like, here's a player, guys. Are you excited? And this one,
Yeah.
it's like, here's a player. Latif Blessing's going to score 5,000 goals, and like, there's hawks and fireworks and
Ferry
giant robots.
must feel like a giant loser. You know what I mean? He didn't get anything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He barely
Yeah.
got he's lucky he even got a post. You
Hey,
know?
but now he's balling out. So
He
who's laughing now, right?
I mean, with the announcement of us permanently signing a Dadekin, they
Mm-hmm.
made a nice little highlight reel for him too, which was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that is cool to see because usually you see that stuff for the MLS, you see it for other big leagues. And so for our team to kind of take that approach with player signings is kind of neat because you want that hype. You want everybody to be like, oh, yeah, this is good. And I mean, like, we talked about it. Latifi's got like all kinds of trophies with his time with LAFC. Dude has been around the MLS for a while. Everybody knows that he can ball, and he's going to bring that here. Dadekin, that is just, I don't know, pure class, amazingness on the club's part to make it official and say, you know what, this is a statement of intent. We are buying him because they recognize like he is one of our cornerstones.
Yeah.
And if like you feel otherwise, then you're not watching our games because he is like one of those core pieces. And everybody's been afraid, like, when is he going to get recalled? Same thing with like Sargent, right? Everybody's like, when's he going to get recalled? You start worrying about that, and now we finally get to put those worries to rest with the Dadekin. Like, and it was so cool too, just seeing him be psyched about it, and you can tell he really wants to be here. And some people have been asking, like, well, what's the deal with this MLS talent coming down to USLC? I just think it's the club, and not only just the club, but like the league trying to be like, look, we're here to compete. We're here to be another source of soccer entertainment and really have some solid talent here. And I think we're offering things that are appealing to those players, because at the end of the day, do you want to go to the MLS and then kind of go back and forth whether or not you're going to start? Maybe you do once, maybe you get put on the bench for 3 games, maybe you come off for a few minutes, and then here he has the potential to become a star, like a bona fide star. Like you talk about like club legends, right? We've had lots of players that, we could list off that were like, man, they could fall into that status. And now he has the opportunity to do that as well. So that was just solid move by the club. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Dadekin, he's here to stay.
Yep.
Now we can all get those Dadekin tattoos we've been talking about and not feel bad about it because he's not going to get recalled. Right? No? Oh.
You go first.
Okay. Oh, well. Just
No, it's
right
good.
across the back.
It's good. I think it shows some foresight too into like not just this season, but looking at the roster build for next year already and what it could look like in 2026. So I think it's a positive sign. Obviously, there's a lot of moving and shaking that goes on, but when you get pen to paper on a guy that's you take the loan tag off, it's you can breathe a little bit easier, and it's also good to know that behind the scenes that this is something that not only can happen, but the club's able to work on throughout the middle of the season and kind of get this taken care of, because like you said, obviously he's a big part of this season, but I think going forward for his career trajectory, whether he's with the club in 2, 3, 4 years, however long, like it's great for Lexington, because this is either going to be a launching pad for him or he's just going to be a star here, like you said. So I think it's a win-win.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can really go wrong with this. Now we just need to get Sargent in the mix. He's another one that we need to steal off that loan tag and see if we can lock down. I think he's earned it as well. He's young. He's talented. That's another that I just feel like, okay, can we do that? And I just really love, though, with the Dadekin one, that we're not waiting till the end of the season. It's not off season. I think that's really awesome that it's midseason, like you mentioned, Kyle, and we can go into the off season being like, okay, why would we wait until close to the end of the season to do something like this if this wasn't like our long-term plan, or at least with the next year or two in mind, right? So I think it's a solid move, and I think it's something that a lot of fans can appreciate, especially after the past few years of just like biting our nails once the end of the season comes and just not knowing what's going to happen. Like I think this, for a change, feels like oh, well, we have one certainty. Like there is at least one certainty. Of course things happen, but about as certain as you can get, right? And I think for me as a fan, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to the club. We got this.
Yep.
Okay. So speaking of the new signings, I'm sure we'll see Blessing soon. I can't imagine. We have a tendency once like players are in market to plug and play. So I'm sure that'll happen. But let's talk about the most recent game. And then we got some listener questions related to the men's team. And then we'll kind of hop into the women's game a little bit after that. Okay. So let's get some first impressions from this match with Oakland. Let's maybe start with the starting lineup, which I think a lot of people were just kind of like, whoa, like a little bit of a shock jump scare in some ways, right? But at the same time, you could kind of see it coming. What were our initial feelings going into this match, knowing that we were missing a couple of key players, that we'd made a couple of adjustments, seeing who it was that we were fielding against Oakland?
I think not seeing Kendall in the lineup was like the only thing that like necessarily concerned me, really. I just always feel like defensively we're a lot better with him around. And yeah, I think other than that, I just think if Kieran's in the lineup, if Joe's in the lineup, if Michael's in the lineup, I think we're okay. I think those are kind of like our cornerstones, at this point. So I didn't worry too much. Like I know some people were worried because Ajago's not there, but I kind of think him and Burke are supposed to be the same person.
More
Understandable, man.
interchangeable. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know like Daniel Wu's had some inconsistent performances. So like you said, Dylan, with Burks out, seeing Daniel Wu in there, I like a player who I really like what he can bring to the table was a little bit like that's a big spot for him, like
Mhm.
in a big match too. I think just for in terms of like momentum um, but I thought he played really well. I mean, he played most of the
Mm-hmm.
match, and I think that it was good to see like a full consistent. I mean, I know it wasn't 90 minutes, but it was almost 90 minutes of great effort. And I know he was right there in the mix when Oakland scored their goal. But I thought for the most part he had a solid match. And like Dylan said, there's like three or four guys that if they're in the lineup, you feel like pretty comfortable with the pieces that they can fill in around. So yeah, I thought it was good to see guys like Daniel Wu, Speedy getting back out there, just having some more of these reliable players who have kind of become or even have started as substitutes. And you find ways to plug them in, and you don't really miss a beat.
So I was thinking as well, kind of commenting during the game about not just who we had out, not just who we had out there, but where we had them positioned. It kind of surprised me that I feel like Epps, we normally use him on the right wing, but we had him on the left this time around, which I feel like, ended up working out. But I've always liked having like a Datakun on the left, Epps on the right, both contributing into the towards the goal. So I thought that was interesting. And then there was one other positioning that I thought was interesting, but I'm having trouble remembering at the moment.
That's a good point, though, because it felt like our top three were much more central than what we're
Yeah,
used to seeing with Adetikin. Like you mentioned,
right.
it was really odd to see him tucked in so much because we're used to seeing him do a lot of interchange with Kieran out on
Mm-hmm.
the side, but he was much more central. Nick Firmino was too. It was kind of a different look for us, which I think was good because we brought this up in the past where we have different personnel and we try and run the same formation, but then play a different way, and it doesn't always work out. So I guess this was kind of nice to see that we tried a different formation with a slightly different style, and it seemed okay. Like for us
Mhm.
having to switch so many people out, it tended to work out, which I think maybe this was possibly a look at the next evolution as far as like maybe a backup plan. I don't know
Mm.
that this will always be like this is what we're putting out there if we have everybody that's in that normal starting 11, right? But it's good to see that maybe there's actually a little bit more to it whenever we have to switch things up. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
yeah,
and as far as um the 18 that we used for this game, Fairy stuck out a lot more to me too.
yeah,
And I think that was partly intentional for me because I past games with him, I'm like, well, I wasn't really paying attention, and so when people would ask about him, not really know, what to think, and so I feel like I paid a little more attention to kind of how he plays, and I like that he seems really calm and steady, um, and I like that he kind of slows things down a bit and is very intentional.
yeah. I
So
100%
that
agree.
kind of stuck
And
out to me too.
yeah, he did really, really great in this. And I'll admit, whenever I saw like all the switches, I had a little bit of reservations, right? Because it's a lot of different. It's a whole lot of different from what we've been using, but we don't really have a choice, right? We need these people to get healthy. We're still not seeing Medense out there. Jafal's out. He was in a boots. We're not seeing Burks. Jago's out of the lineup. There's just a lot of change in here. And so when you have that much change, we've had it happen in the past and it burns us a little bit. And we're like, oh man. And so that I had a little bit of, nerves about it. And then Daniel Wu, and it's nothing against Daniel Wu. It's just for me, the two positions that make me the most nervous to see changes at are your keeper and your center backs. Anytime you have to change your keeper or your center backs, it makes me a little nervy. I just started getting in my head a little bit because I feel like those are like your pillars for making sure that you get away without too many goals scored. And then from there, you can kind of work with whatever you got. But yeah, but it was good. It was a pleasant surprise to see what we did. It was a different look. It was still aggressive, maybe not as like high octane as what we're used to seeing here recently, but it was still aggressive in its own way. And I think it worked out for us. And it could be just the opponent. But I think it's also just a good look at us being able to adapt again.
It felt like the first half though was really atrocious from us, to be honest. Though, it was really boring from us, and it felt like we weren't getting any real chances. And like even if we did have any chances, it didn't feel like any were on target at all. And the like letting up the goal, right away was like really demoralizing. So like the first half was just a completely different game to the second half, and the second half is when they decide to turn it on and finally do to someone else what always happens to us.
Yeah.
Finally, like we're always the team that goes up one, and then the other team wins 2-1, in stoppage time, right? Finally, it happened for us instead of to
Hmm.
us.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. And I think a lot of like that first half, I'm glad we weren't slow and methodical like we have sometimes done when those really bad games, but it was slower. And I think I kind of chalk up the first halves, the things that weren't clicking right to it being that there's a lot of guys that, yes, they practice with each other, but they're rarely in a starting 11 with one another anymore. And so it was like, okay, it's probably going to be a little bit raw, but you're right, Dylan. It definitely wasn't as polished as what we've been seeing here lately. But I think that, as you said, in the second half, they kind of got settled in and they started figuring out how to kind of fire it up a little bit more and be a little bit more aggressive. And of course, going down a goal, that's going to light a fire under you, at least hopefully, right? You don't want it to not do that. That goal from Oakland, though, like that was insane. It was kind of nasty. Like, I can't believe that he
Yeah.
managed to flick that around Daniel Wu like he did. And at first I was like, man, what the heck? Because I thought it was a deflection off of Daniel because we were looking at it through the net and it was kind of hard to see. And then, Kyle, you texted us and then I went back and watched the replay and I was like, no, that was just like an insanely well placed foot to ball moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it just caught us off guard. It's one of those kind of freakish goals, right? That it's
Yeah.
like, how in the world did he even pull that off?
Yeah. I feel like you see that in hockey where it's like just the slightest
Yes.
misdirect and the goalie's,
Yep.
leaning one way and it's just cooked, like has no, if the ball wasn't touched, he probably is all over it. But it's like just the slightest little change in direction, and it's like, that's all it takes. And they
Mm,
I think that was a nice finish. I actually thought that Lexington had some decent chances in the first half. I
yeah.
mean, Daniel Wu almost had a header that,
Yeah.
and Blaine Ferry had a nice shot on
He did.
off frame, but like just seeing different guys kind of get into the attacking mix, at least in the first half.
We did.
Yeah.
Sorry, go
It
ahead,
also
Kyle.
looked like, oh, no, I was going to say, it also looked like, I don't know if it was exclusive because I missed like the first few minutes of the match. I had to go back and rewatch the second half. I was texting you all. We had some stuff going on Saturday, but it looked like almost exclusively they were taking the short corners, and I don't know if that's something
Mhm.
that like, was just a change, for the match based on what they saw out of Oakland, or it seemed like they were much more comfortable, attacking from that higher angle,
Mm.
kind of at the top of the 18 versus from the true corner position. Because there's almost always, Kieran taking the corner, playing it short to Firmino or someone else, and then getting it back and playing it in, but just at a higher
Mhm.
angle. So that also was something that seemed like it was pretty consistent throughout the match.
Yeah. And I think this game, I don't know, maybe it's just my imagination, but I felt like I saw a lot more of an attacking presence from Kieran, like what we would see in
Yeah.
days of old. There were a lot more crosses from him, especially low ones, like that one that he tried to send in for Jabert. And like Jabert
Mhm.
like slides right into the post and you see him like smack the post because he's so upset. He's like, oh, because it was so incredibly close. But there were a lot of those little opportunities that he was feeding, which was kind of cool to get him back in the mix a little bit with that. So it was just a really good game from a lot of different players. And it was interesting, like you said, Kyle, to see them shine in different ways than what we're used to seeing because we've kind of gotten used to player A does this, player B does that. So it was kind of neat in some ways. Now would I have loved for us to have just been up on them the whole time? 2 goals up, yes. But at the same time, you can't really argue with the feeling of being down a goal and then coming back and winning it in the last 15 minutes of a match, which was electric. That was so much fun. Dylan, you said it. It never happens that way for us. Jessica, you said it. It's always the other team. Like, it was nice to have that feeling, because they thought they had it in the bag. And let's be honest, Oakland was flopping all over the place, and that ref was just feeding
Gosh.
into it. Like, we always like to try and avoid all this like ref talk, but like, gosh, the ref was feeding into it like crazy, and just every little thing. And then, like, I'll admit it, like Corey Burke, he likes to draw a foul, right? But at the same time, there were some legitimate fouls committed against him, and the refs were just like, "No, it's okay." And then there would be something half as bad that would happen to an Oakland player, and the ref was like, "Man, that's a yellow card, dude. What are you doing?" Like that one where like Corey had a breakaway and the dude shoves him over, and like nothing from it at all, which was absolute insanity. And I just feel like the refing was very lopsided in this one, and Oakland clearly has like a little bit of a game plan. It's very much like that, we're going to kind of pick at you a little bit. And then the moment that you even put a little bit of muscle on us, we're going down. And, it's frustrating. I feel like it's, really, really tough when you play those types of teams, especially for us, because I feel like we're a pretty physical team and not like in a overly aggressive, uncontrolled way, just in a very like, we are going to battle you for the ball. And so when you go up against those teams that sell it pretty hard to the refs and the refs buy what they're selling more often than not, it adds an extra layer of challenge. And I think, we've said it before, you can say, man, the refs this, the refs that, but at the end of the day, you have to rise above it. And I think we've found a way to do that this time, which is really, really nice to be able to say, and of course, maybe if we hadn't won, maybe I'd be saltier than I am. But it is nice that we still were like, okay, we're not going to let off the gas just because of this. We're going to make things happen.
Yeah. Just really good, like, from the team as a whole to get this win in this position. It's so important to win in different ways and get those types of experiences. And being able to get this come from behind win was so important. And, I feel like there was that stretch earlier in the season when things were not good. Like, let's be honest, things were not good.
They were
And it
bad.
felt like,
Real bad.
there was a point on the podcast where we were just like, blow everything up, like we were just like, everything's just so bad. And then kind of like after that, since then, everything kind of like switched for the team. And, we stopped playing that grandpa ball that we always talk about. And we started playing this like energetic, free flowing, style. And since then, we've been a good team. And the moments when we've strayed away from that, like the Louisville game and the Colorado game, were games we lose, and I think, I gave a lot of flack to, on Boss early in the season, and I think rightfully so, but I think I need to give him his flowers for getting these wins now, getting these streaks going, and getting these important come from behind wins. So props to him. I if I say things and I'm wrong about them, I can afford to be wrong. It's not like my money, and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So whatever. But yeah,
Yep.
shout out to the team.
Well, and you were calling for, like you're saying, we were calling for them to blow things up and just kind of redo. To be fair, they kind of did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well,
we
That's
weren't
true.
necessarily wrong. So
No, yeah.
I do what you're saying, though. I agree. Like we do have to eat a little bit of crow, but at the same time, like they had to do a lot of tweaks and a lot of personnel changes, and get this guy, move this guy. A whole lot of that happened in between those really bad times and these really good times. So I think that we can still give them props though for recognizing it early enough to do something about it. So in the same vein, you're absolutely right, Dylan. We got to give them props for at least being like, all right, we got to move. We got to do something different because this is not working. Whether it be, the system's not working for this player, or we happen to notice that this player is available and we have to make this happen because no matter what, there's somebody that can be a game changer, and we'll figure out where they fit somewhere on the line. Yeah, I mean, we're where we are, and it's good. We're sitting in fifth, 3 points out of second, like in the West. That's significant. That's really, really good. Like, I mean, granted, the West is tight overall, but to see us move from last place where we held it down for a few weeks to now being true contenders for at least second place, if not higher, because Tulsa can only hold this out for so long, you would think. Their unbeaten streak. At some point they're probably going to stumble here and there. I'd like to think that we're hitting our stride at the perfect time, whereas other teams might have not hit it at all or are hitting it too early. I mean, time will tell, but it feels like some fortuitous timing for our team right now.
I think we've played 3 matches where we were like clearly the better side, all 3 matches. And
Yeah.
to Dylan's point, like winning in multiple different ways, where Phoenix,
Mhm.
2-0 victory felt very comfortable from
Yeah.
almost the first minute. Then you win in San Antonio on a match that was like, it felt like we should have been up 4 or 5 goals at one point. We were like, what
Yeah.
is going on?
But
And
we
of
still
course,
eked it out.
yeah, we
Yeah.
still and they still get 3 points, and on a fluky throw in own goal. Like, how often does that happen? And then you have this match, and it's against a team that's near the bottom of the table. Like, these are the teams you need to put away, much like
Yeah.
our next opponent. But yeah, just finding different ways And the more that you do this, the more that you can draw back on this type of experience later when it's, first round of the playoffs, let's say, and you're down by a goal or whatever. Like, it's like the San Antonio match where you're just getting opportunity after opportunity and you just cannot find the back of the net, no matter what. So, I mean, it's good. I do think there was some, in terms of, from the start of the season to now, I think we're finding that Boss is very much like there are players that fit his system more so than a lot of other coaches maybe that the specific type of player isn't necessarily as important, but like I think of a guy like Kieran Sargent, like is just the absolute when if Terry Boss is writing up what the left winger of his dreams would look like this is exactly that player. You know what I mean? Like, not to say Kieran wouldn't excel elsewhere. I mean, he's a great player, and not to say that others couldn't come in and play that position, but a guy that we all liked, Lucas Stauffer, who came in a similar position, and it just didn't work out, right? Like another good player, but just not for this system, for this coach. And so I think what's taken some time is figuring out who those players are, and then getting them into the system, together and playing together. And I think that's where like continuity plays, which is something that we've all kind of preached, which we haven't had any of, at the club in a lot of ways for various reasons. And but yeah, I think there's like if a player succeeds or not here, I think a lot of it has to do with the fit within the system, if that makes sense. I do think there's obviously going to be players who can come in and just excel no matter what. Hopefully, Blessing is the type of player who looks like, he'd probably be A-okay on any of these championship level teams. But I do think like there are very specific archetypes players that Boss wants. And once they are in the system, it looks like for the most part, they're, able to play to the best of their ability. So I think that's also part of this turnaround.
Yeah,
For sure.
I also like want to clarify that I do think that the turnaround is due to like Boss maybe getting the best out of the guys and like changing tactics around. And Tyler, you were saying that I was right in us calling the team out and in that moment, and I do I'm not walking back anything I said. I think Boss is the reason for the turnaround. I still think we're kind of in a weird situation that the front office has put us in because we keep going through these like turnarounds with these players. And Kyle, you brought up like this great example of Lucas Stauffer, who is a really, really good player and he's excelling somewhere else. But wasn't that kind of a waste of time for everyone, including Lucas and us, and a waste of money, just kind of like going through that process of figuring out, who these guys are, the fit, to fit in our team. And we're still kind of like going through those in the mid-season. So I'm just like giving credit to Boss,
right?
Figuring and also navigating all this.
There also are players this year that were signed before Terry was announced as coach. I know that for a fact. So I do think, because it's a timing thing, where like it's the off season, you got to get players in here. A guy like Stauffer made sense, but then you bring a coach in and it's just completely different. So I do think there was a little bit of that as well, where it's like, you bring a guy in because on paper it looks like it's the type of player you need, but then you get a coach who's like, well, actually, we need X, Y, and Z instead. And so now you're like starting to figure out. I also think that the club, and again, I'm just playing sort of devil's advocate, but also just, trying to pull on some experience and some conversations I've had, that I think the club really wants players to be in a place they want to be. Right. And if you have a guy like Stauffer who, is a pros pro, I mean, we interviewed him on here, like everybody loved him. He's a pros pro. He's not getting the minutes that he wants. And then it's like, all right, let's figure out a place let's figure out how we can get you into a place where you're also succeeding, because it's not working out here, right? Or you're not getting the minutes here. And so I do think there's, in the sense of a lot of these loans, the comings and goings, I think players dictate a little bit more than what we might see as like an ownership move or a Terry Boss move or a, an agent move. I think players have more say in a lot of that than we would even,
Mhm.
think,
Makes me
and
think of
agents as
Goldberg
well.
too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. And again, it's even if it feels like a waste of time at the beginning, getting everybody in the right place, and admitting like, hey, this door probably needs to close, and doing that quicker, than just saying let's drag this throughout the season. It's probably for the best, because last year we kind of experienced a little bit of that where we're just hanging on to people, we're just hanging on, and we're just being like, well, they're here, but
Yeah.
it's not
Another
really
thing.
doing much.
Yeah. Another thing to think about, especially at this level, is like the agent conversations and a player that's representing, uh, let's say, I'm just going to use Lucas again. I have no idea what the conversations were around Lucas Stoffer. So I just keep using this example, but um, if there's an agent conversation, whether it's with his agent or a, an agent's colleague, let's say, and it was, how were you treated in Lexington? What was your experience like in Lexington for my player? Like that word of mouth goes a long way. And so I think that's why you see clubs really trying to accommodate players' wants and needs, even if it might not on paper be a great move, because those agents talk, and that's a network that you want to, for lack of a better term, you want to kind of, I don't know, I guess kind of keep them happy, right? Like you want Lexington to be known as a place where people want to come and play, and sometimes that means treating players, you know, like maybe better than, not that necessarily that they deserve, but just better than what we would think of as, making sure that they get to go where they want. Just throwing that
100%,
out there.
man. Yeah, it's good points all around. No, I know we're in a really good spot. Such a good spot that everybody has a lot of questions about our player personnel, in regards to how many people we have available. So, I think it's a pretty good time to transition into some of those questions before we get into the women's match and talk about it. First up, Jessica, you already kind of talked about his performance, but somebody had asked us about Blaine Ferry and how we felt about him. Do we feel like he's earned his spots? Is he kind of a permanent fixture in the starting 11 and or 18? I'm gonna say yes, especially to the 11. I feel like, as you said, Jessica, super calm, composed presence. He has a lot of hustle, but in a very smart way. Like I
Mhm.
won't forget, we were sitting there watching the game, and then he lost the ball to the opposition and then immediately hustled and snagged it right back.
Mhm.
And it was just smooth. It wasn't like frantic. He wasn't freaking out. He was just like, oh, I just like gave the ball away to him. Well, I'm going to go get it back. And he did. And then he kept the play alive. And I think that type of presence, that type of skill set that he has both mentally and physically is really, really great to have in our midfield. And so like, I'm a fan. I like that we added him into the mix.
Same.
Yeah, I actually think, and he was someone that we talked more about, like in that defensive midfielder role. But I think Tyler, maybe you or Dylan, someone mentioned earlier about how he's getting a little bit more involved, like moving in attack, or maybe that was about Kieran. Either way, it seems like he's getting a little bit more involved in, that final third. And I mean, we're wearing the kits that, you can't really tell numbers, but watching the stream,
Right.
I think he either got the hockey assist or like the pass before the hockey assist on both goals. I think he was like
Mm-hmm.
in the
I
sequence
think.
that led. I think he had the pass that led to Kieran for the last Joe Hafferty goal. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure.
Yeah,
Um,
he
it
did.
was a little bit hard to tell. Yeah, and it was a little hard to tell, but I think he was involved in both buildups, and I think he's just a solid all around player. I mean, just putting in like solid. Even if you just look at FOTMob scores, he's putting in like 7+ every match. It's amazing. It's just like consistent. That's one of the things I think you don't see a lot at this level is consistency, and so it's like that's pretty. I think that type of performance needs to be in the starting lineup.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Dylan nodding.
I think he earned his way in the starting lineup. So yeah, I think he should be.
Yeah, great addition. All right, we got another one. This one's I don't know, people might have mixed feelings about this one because I know everybody has their opinions based on like our striker situation. So based on the most recent goal from Corey Burke, we had a question about if he has earned his way into the starting lineup over a Jago, or if a Jago still should hold that, or what the deal is there, like how we feel between those two.
I don't think that either of them is like the straw that stirs the drink for the team. So I don't really think it matters if I'm being completely honest. I think they're completely interchangeable as players. Do I think Ajago is better just because he's younger and faster and more agile. But Burke does tend to come up and have those big moments that we need sometimes. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I truly think they're interchangeable, and it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts too. They are on a similar level. I feel like with Burke, he just doesn't. For me, he is not as consistent. He's either just really on and gets, like you said, Dylan, those amazing goals, or he's just there. And I feel like Ajago is he's more aggressive. Like if if the ball is getting into that final third, like he's more than likely gonna go for it than I feel like Burke does. Unless it's for Burke, I feel like it has to be a sure thing for him to be willing to go after it. Whereas Ajago's like, I'll go for it anyways. Um, or at least like put the pressure on to to see what happens. But yeah, just I feel like we on Saturday, Tyler and I were sitting there lamenting about how inconsistent Burke can be, and then just runs the ball
Yeah,
through the goal, and so
shot out of a
he,
cannon.
yeah, so he had when he scores, but
Mm-hmm.
that's it's just I feel like you can't always count on it though.
Mm-hmm.
I picked him to be the Golden Boot winner for our team, so I think Burke should start every match.
Yeah. So you can get the dub.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's what I'm worried most about. No, I think what Dylan and Jess both said make a lot of sense. I think Dylan's right in the sense that they're kind of you know supposed to be a little bit interchangeable. I think in the way that they approach the match, and I I like both. And yeah, I don't know if I have a strong one way or the other.
My preference now, I'll preface this with Corey Burke has 5 goals across all competitions. Jago has 3. I think there's about like just under a 200-minute difference between the two, with Corey having a little bit less time than a Jago. So from a productivity standpoint, Burke is delivering more goals more often. Although my preference is that we still start Ajago because I feel like him in the press with Adedekin and everybody else in the mix when we're fully healthy is absolutely terrifying. And then I like bringing Burke on later when everybody's a little bit more tired. He's a great target guy. So you can
Mm,
send a few more of those lofted balls into the box, and he can use his height and his ability with headers to get them into the goal. And so that is my preference, that you start with like the ferocious press, and then later on, whenever legs are getting a little bit more tired and you're more willing to maybe just loft a few in there and do a little bit less leg work in the box, Burke's your guy. He's going to be there. You can just sail it in, let him catch it, hopefully get a goal off of it. So I think they're both great in their own way. Um, you know, the big difference for me is the pressing ability. Ajago is just much more of that. He's going to get in the face of defenders and the keeper as they're
mm-hmm.
trying to distribute. And those games that we've seen him and Michael go after them, it's crazy how many mess ups they cause. Like
Yeah.
consistently, like the back line cannot get it together because they're right in their face.
Mm-hmm.
And Burke likes to press every once in a while, but it's every once in a while. It's pretty rare in comparison to a Jago. It's a little bit more of, all right, I'm out of the play, so I'll wait till I'm back into the play. You know what I mean? So that's what I would prefer to see. And again, no shade towards either one of them. I think that they both contribute where they contribute, and it's important stuff. But I think it just kind of depends on what style of ball we're looking to play at any given phase of the match. So that's where it kind of breaks down for me. All right. So then kind of going off of those, and we already kind of addressed the permanent signings with the Dadekin and getting in Blessing. Somebody had asked us what our ideal starting 11 is at this point. Like if we were just like, that is the starting 11 for us, who would we say would need to be in that mix?
I think we would have to go back a couple weeks, and then, when Kendall and Sophie were healthy, and then
Like
honestly,
Phoenix?
yeah, if I can pick out basically Firmino and switch them for Blessing, that's what I would do, and that would be my lineup. Honestly,
Same.
to be honest, I feel like that is our strongest lineup, and right now in the lineup, I feel like Firmino is our biggest weak point.
Yeah. I mean, I'd agree with you, man. I would do the Phoenix lineup and see what Blessing has to offer in place of Firmino. I like Firmino a lot, and I think that he's been asked to do a lot of work outside of his normal position. We were talking about this, right? How, maybe it's a little unnatural, the areas that we've asked him to play, and that can impact your performance. You know what I mean? You can go from, your comfort zone to outside of your comfort zone. And of course, it's not going to look as good as it normally does. And I do appreciate everything he does for the team. And he's regularly in the mix. He does well with distribution. He's gotten some shots off at goal. But I mean, I'd say like if we were going to plug in Blessing right now, he'd be the one that I'd say, let's see Blessing plugged into his spot and see what happens. So I agree with that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I like the Phoenix lineup. Go back a couple matches and look at that. That's the lineup.
So for anyone who doesn't know what the Phoenix lineup was, that's listening, it was Thompson, Jabert, Burks, Sargent, and Jafal in the back line. Oh, and Hafferty. Well, I won't go by position. I'll just say
You got to be careful because
Yeah.
sometimes they're not going to have it accurate by position.
Yeah,
so,
right. So I'm just I'll just go through the list. So we had Thompson, Jabert, Burks, Sargent, Hafferty, Adedikin, Ferry, Epps, Williams, Firmino, Ajago, and did I say Adedikin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we had
it's Sophie.
Did I get
Didi? But yeah.
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Williams. Yeah, I think was that the game that they messed up on and they said it was Williams and it was somebody else. I don't know. I forget. But yeah, Williams wasn't in the starting on that one. But yeah, thanks for clarifying, Justin. We're all sitting here like everybody remembers the Phoenix lineup.
Yeah, we all know.
I did my
It's
best.
good podcasting.
Yeah. Right. But no, absolutely no. That was good to do it. So what would you do, Jess? Would you roll with that?
I mean, being able to get Medense back in there and healthy.
Is he unhealthy?
Well, wasn't he injured?
The world will never know.
I don't know.
Well, okay.
I'm asking.
The world will never know.
I mean, I'm assuming since he's not in the lineup.
I don't know.
But
he was at a water
assuming.
park today. I don't know what that
was
means.
he really?
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I don't know if Tyler's injured. I don't know if he's going to a water park anytime soon.
I am not.
I feel like
Without the hamstring, though, Tyler would be at the water park. We all know.
That's right. You better believe it.
But we're saying we'd switch out Firmino with Blessings, right? And
yes.
I'd want to see Medense in there somewhere too.
For
Well,
who?
that would be 12 players.
I know. Give me a second.
It's tough, isn't it? It's tough.
Would you say it's Sophie's choice?
Wow. I don't know who I'd switch him out for though.
Outro music.
Yeah, I don't know who I'd switch him out for though.
Undecided.
Yeah.
Undecided. It's hard. It's a tough choice because I seriously was thinking that too.
Yeah.
I was like, man, Medense, he can cook when he's out there. And
Yeah.
but I mean, man, it's hard to argue with some of the results we've been getting with this lineup, even without him in it. For as much
Yeah.
as he's done when he's on the
That's
field,
true.
you know, maybe that's another one of those like super sub things, and that's a good problem to have. I like
Yeah.
that we're like sitting there being like, huh, who would I
They're
put
all
in
so
there?
good.
I know, right? And that's great because that's what we want. Because we've mentioned it before. Sometimes we have a little bit of, you know, perceived drop off whenever we have to swap, and then we're trying to run the same exact system. And so I feel like, again, kind of going back to the formation and the setup for the game against Oakland, I think maybe that's like nice that we now have like something a little different, so that when we have to make a bunch of subs, we can say, go to Oakland formation. Let's do that. And let's see what we can do whenever we kind of switch gears a little bit. So, all right. So everybody's Phoenix, but then Blessing for Firmino to see what happens, which I mean, we've not seen Blessing in green yet. So who knows? We might like go back later and be like,
won't.
Everyone's hyping him up like he's the second coming.
Yeah.
You know, so
I'm psyched. And then we'll figure
we
out
also
where
know we're
Medense
great.
goes.
Medense. We'll just sneak Medense in. Like he'll just be on the. You know.
Yes.
Blessing or Medense. Yeah.
Ooh, Medense as the lineman. There we go.
Or
that's what I like.
Medense on Blessing's shoulders.
Boom.
Yeah.
Megazord.
Mm-hmm.
Unstoppable. It's a lock. Yeah. But do you really want to sacrifice Medense not having his feet on the ground? I don't know, Dylan. I don't know how they're reverse that.
I don't know how they're configuring this Voltron machine of humans.
Boom.
So
Corey Burke on Medense's shoulders. You have Medense's dribbling, Corey Burke's headers, and now he's 10 feet tall.
Ooh,
and Tyler's speed.
And my speed. with the non-torn hamstring.
Oh,
we got to
okay,
specify.
So
yeah, we're bumping it up a notch.
I was talking about injured Tyler. I don't think Medense will be able to move too quick.
Injured Tyler is only like Usain Bolt level. Like it's not that great.
All right. Any other questions?
That is
listeners?
it. No, nothing. Hey, but before we transition into the women's match, we thought it would be kind of a neat idea because there were so many Lexington Sporting Club goals this weekend between the men's and the women's team. We had 5 that we would each choose our goal of the week for our team. There were 5 of them total, 2 for the men, 3 for the women. If you have not caught the women's match because you were at the men's match, go watch it. I had to watch it like almost immediately. I was sitting there trying to like hurry up and watch it in between doing all of the adult things I had to do, but I got it done. And it was a really good game, but we'll get to that here in a minute. So do we all have our pick for goal of the week figured out? Everybody feels good. Jess, you can't say Medense. Can't say Medense. He's not in there.
Yeah, you can't pick 2 goals of the week.
Right.
Yeah. No 2, just 1. No indecision here.
I'm still struggling to pick one.
I'm not gonna lie. I was torn between 2. Who wants to go first? Kyle.
All right. Kyle's Lexington Sporting Club goal of the week is I'm going to go with Corey Burke's header. I just thought it was extremely powerful, very disrespectful to the defender.
Yes. Oh my God.
It was, everything about it. It was great service from Hafferty. Obviously, great timing and kicked off, the last stretch there that resulted in the Lexington victory. Obviously a lot of great contenders. I really did like Addie McCain's goal as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was my second. I'm not giving you 2, Dylan. I'm just saying if I were going to give you 2, that would have been
Come down there, buddy. Come down there, buddy.
Corey Burke's my choice.
Okay,
Goal of the
before we
week
get to the next
of the
one
weekend.
of the week, I have to point out. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it was Bryce Stevenson that does photography for the club that caught that picture of him like
Yes.
making the header, and I cannot get over how it looks like he's holding the defender by the back of his jersey and lifting him into the air like he's Superman, and like he's getting ready to toss him into the goal too. It looks like Corey Burke is Superman, and
And the goalies, he's like,
yeah, his
I had
eyes are
to-
closed, and he's like,
Yeah,
"Please don't hit me in the face."
that had to
Corey
be a
Burke is
really
like,
tough.
"Don't worry, citizen."
That
Except
had to
in
be
a
a
Jamaican
really tough
accent.
like film session for that defender, just to be like, I just got blindsided. I was next thing I knew, I was on the
Yeah.
ground, and it was 1-1. Like,
Yes, Corey Burke
not a
lifted
good
me and we
time.
were airborne. He flew me around the stadium to show me all the cheering fans. Wow, Corey Burke! Oh man, yeah, it was a phenomenal picture. I love it. I love it. I want to frame it and just
yeah.
have it. No, maybe he does need to start. If he's going to keep doing cool things like that, and we keep getting those types of pictures, yeah,
True.
he's starting. Whatever. He's in the starting 11 now. All right,
That was
Jessica needs some time to marinate on it. So
that was
Dylan,
my pick
Yeah.
too. My goal of the week was also Corey Burke's one. I mean, just put it on a poster because he posterized the dude.
Yeah.
Like he literally. We don't often get goals that are headers too, and so like to have that was so nice, and so clean.
it looked like he was shot out of a cannon.
I didn't.
One of those
I
circus
didn't know
people.
you could poster in soccer, but you can. And
I know.
we saw it.
I mean, Corey Burke did it, so
He did it. Yeah, it can be
Posterized.
done.
I'm laughing so much because
I know what you're laughing at. I just saw it too.
I'm looking at the picture again.
Yeah, it does, right? It looks like he's
this is good
It looks like he's-
podcasting.
flying the defender into the goal. Like I can't get it out of my brain. That's all I see now. Like I need a Photoshop edit of Corey Burke with a green cape and like a mask on, just carrying him through. Yeah, and then like action lines coming off the ball as it's going towards the keeper, whose eyes are closed. It's the best. It is. Okay, well, Jessica gets the giggles out. Okay. I too was actually torn between Corey Burke and Addie McCain because of all the reasons that we mentioned. I had to go with Addie McCain though, because I feel like her header was more difficult in some ways in my mind because the ball was lofted in from way back behind her. And so she had to watch the ball coming in from their half of the field and then flick it with the other side of her head into goal while battling that defender. So she was sitting in there having to go shoulder to shoulder with the defender, let the ball go over her head, and still hit it. I thought that was clean. Like, that was a really impressive goal to me. Corey Burks was angry and amazing and powerful, beautiful, and I loved everything about it. But Addie McCain's, I was just like, how in the heck was she watching the ball arc through the air and then still manage to get enough power as it's arcing to the other side of her head to connect and get it into the goal? It was really, really good. So I got to go Addie McCain on mine.
Okay. I'm sorry, Dylan, that I should have muted so I wasn't laughing through your entire explanation. So I apologize. If
Everybody
you
just
want,
thinks
you
we're laughing at Dylan. You silly man. It wasn't that one.
I'm gonna say Hafferty's goal because
Okay.
just the execution and Ferry, Sargent, and him, like they were just in sync, and it was just like you could almost see it happening in slow motion. Like Ferry passed it to Sargent. You're like, man, that was a great pass. And then Sargent sending it across, like, and Hafferty just be like he said in the interview, he's like he also saw what was happening, and I realized I think there was another maybe a highlight or some video at some point of the game. And oh yeah, LSC had made a video compilation of the highlights of the game. And there was another moment where they did the same thing, but it didn't connect. And so like just the perfection of the passing, and yeah, that was mine.
It was a very composed goal from Hafferty
Yeah.
because a lot of players get freaked out and try and smash it home, and he just let it deflect right off of his boot and into the goal. Like he knew, like, don't make it crazy, don't make it fancy, just let it bounce off of your foot and go into the goal. And that's nice to see because he's a defender, and you have some strikers that are not that with it. They get too excited and they're like, okay, I'm gonna try and kick it as hard as possible, and he's just like, nope, just let it hit me. And that's it. That's all we need to do. Plus the backflip. You got to include the backflip too. We always love that. Didn't he do like a back handspring? Like technically, I don't know. I don't know gymnastics terms, but it was like crazy. I was like, man, look at this guy. I'm over here with a torn hamstring from running, and he's over here doing gymnastics after playing a full 90. What is this? Impressive humans all around. All right, so we got them locked in. Okay, that was good. But hey, like honestly, all those goals were pretty dope. I had a real tough time. And I was really leaning towards Burke because of all the stuff. But McCain's, she got it. All right, so 2 for Burke, 1 for McCain, 1 for Hafferty. Burke is the overall winner. Ding, ding, ding. Superman, you win a spot in the starting 11 forever.
And did you guys happen to catch what happened to the goalie for Pantuso's goal? Because it almost looked like they were trying to say she got tripped by someone, but looks like she just fell over her own
teammate
feet.
knocked her down.
Okay. That's what I was thinking, but it was really weird.
And she was like, goals don't count whenever you fall. Yeah. We'll get into that though. All right, so we got that taken care of. Let's like transition into the women's match. Sound good? Let's kind of like break this down. Man, it was killing me to get all these updates constantly. Oh,
bye, Kyle.
Kyle's giving us the peace signs. He's got to go
I gotta
paint the
go.
nursery.
I'm dipping out. Yeah, I'm in this like I'm sure everyone who's watching is like can't maybe really tell. I'm like in the smallest corner of our guest bedroom that has all of the baby shower gifts in it because the nursery is still not finished, and so it's just like a crime scene in there almost. If I had some friends that could come over and help paint, we'd have it done. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And
you gotta find some friends,
dude. I know I gotta find some friends.
How embarrassing!
I'll see if that
live on the podcast.
See if my dude from the rec league will come over and help.
The ref.
And so anyway, all of the stuff from the baby showers and long story short, I'm just like crammed in here, and so but anything for you guys and the listeners, just like absolutely anything.
I'm so glad you can grind this out for us, Kyle.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
under these conditions,
under these insane conditions, I'm still out here podding for the world to hear, and I hope you guys have a great Super League chat. And yeah, I can't wait to listen to it tomorrow or whenever Tyler gets it uploaded.
It'll be tonight.
Oh,
let's be honest.
Okay. I will not be listening to it tonight. But
well, wow, fake fan.
Tonight,
okay,
yeah,
dude. Oh man. All right. Peace, Kyle.
See y'all.
Okay, this match here against Fort Lauderdale. Okay, first off, like I always like to check the betting lines for games just to see what everybody thinks about this, and it was insane. We were plus 1,000 against Fort Lauderdale. That means we were the absolute like bottom of the barrel underdogs against them, which I think is crazy. That just shows me that somebody was like, last year they didn't do so hot and Fort Lauderdale was in the finals, so Lexington's for sure going to lose. Which, to be fair, I feel like even if you're not checking those things, a lot of people probably were a little bit reserved about thinking we were going to come swinging because a lot of changes have happened. You never know what you're going to get, and new coach, new players, the whole thing, right? When we get into this game, I know we were checking this while we were watching the men play. Did you all expect to not see a single year one person in the starting 11?
I did not expect it to be like that.
Yeah. I thought we'd see at least one. I did.
Mhm.
I know.
Yeah.
I was asked by a listener to predict the starting 11. Like what was it? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago? Something crazy. It was kind of
Mhm.
hard to do, and I only had six right. Um, 6 out of the 11 were correct, and so I was surprised. I mean, in some cases, I was like, "Oh, that's not really that surprising." It was more just surprising that like we didn't see any year ones at all because I thought it would be kind of a little bit of a mix. But we saw lots of year ones on the bench too, though, so they were available in the 18, which is good. It wasn't like they were relegated to some far off place where you never see them. So that was encouraging to see. That being said, my initial thoughts on the lineup were really, really good. I felt like it was a strong lineup. I again another surprise is like I kind of guessed like Kinsey Weiner would be starting and she wasn't. She was on the bench. That was a little bit of a shocker to me, not because
Mm.
anybody else is worse or anything. I just was like, thinking of you're going to put out some former Spokane players, and you might as well capitalize on that synergy that they had. I thought maybe that's what we would kind of lead with our attack at least. But I don't know. It didn't feel like a terrible lineup at all. It felt like a great lineup, actually. Um, what did you guys think either about the lineup or just kind of the initial stages of this match?
Man, I feel like there's so much to talk about, like, with this match. Like, I don't know if I can just start it with, like, just one thing, like, there's just
Yeah.
so much. I I liked the I was surprised about the defense, and I liked
Hmm.
how our defense played. Like,
Hmm.
I liked our 2 center backs a lot,
Yeah.
Pantuzo and Schartz, right?
Hmm.
Um, they were really good, and I really, really liked Bourgeois as our right
Yeah.
back. Like, she was really fantastic. Her with Ekich on that right side were a really, really good pair. Like, honestly, I feel like a lot of our team was really good, and I thought there was you know, they were more polished than I thought they would be. They
Hmm.
played really hard, and they seem like they played together. Already surprisingly, um, really the only like I don't know, like the offense was really good. The offense was they were taking chances, they were moving the ball forward, they were passing it around, they were trying things. It wasn't stagnant at all. Like, there wasn't really, like, anything that I was too, like, concerned about. Obviously, we let in the goals. You know, I'll get to, the goals later, but overall, I feel like the starting 11 was pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, I now that we're talking about it, I realize I did not pay that much attention to the lineup as far as who was where. That the thing that kind of annoyed me was the announcers at the beginning of the game. They're like, "Oh, getting Fort Lauderdale getting ready to go against renewed Lexington," and then went on about how terrible we were last season.
Hmm.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
like and just even throughout the game, I feel like it was hard for me to concentrate on what was happening because they would constantly be like, "Oh, well, Lexington really struggled with this last season." Okay, we have a completely new team.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
you
I
can
Yeah.
you can say some positive things. Like it wasn't all terrible. Yes, we finished at the
Hmm.
bottom of the table, but like goodness, I don't know. I was just really annoyed by that. It's like
Yeah.
give us some credit here. Just a little bit.
I think we end up with a few of those homer calls on Peacock every once in a while, and that's maybe what we were experiencing. Because I agree, it came up quite a bit. Which I mean, some of it fair, whatever. Um, but I mean, it was nice. This made me feel like we have a team. If we can continue to play like we were playing, but then improve as we go along throughout the season, we'll have a team that's going to prove everybody wrong and make them eat their words about who we are as a club. And I think that that's going to be really important. And Dylan, you mentioned this with our attack. Our attack was really, really encouraging because there were several games last season where it did feel like our midfield was disconnected from our attack. And this one did not feel like that. It felt like we had a fluid system of everybody was kind of getting involved. We were able to progress up the field. We were constantly dangerous. Like I just feel like we were always on the attack. And, when we had to defend, we made quick transitions. And Fort Lauderdale have plenty of chances. Don't get me wrong. They're a great team. It looks like they are a great team again this year after doing awesome last year. But I just feel like this renewed attack of ours is really spicy. Like I like what I'm seeing out of what it is that we're doing. And all these players contributing to the level that they did was also another encouraging thing. And Ekich is insane. Like just the attention she grabs being out on the field from the opposition is a game changer. Like everybody is worried about what she's doing at all times. And the funny thing is, it's like half the time they can't do anything about it. Like they're always like, we got to watch you. We got to mark you. We got to stop you. And then she still finds a way to get to the ball and get it to a teammate, dribble through, dribble around, get a shot off. Um, it, I don't know. All the hype that we've had for a lot of these players, I feel like was there and you could feel the energy. I will tell you, and we can kind of get into the goals and stuff here in a minute, but I just have to point this out because it didn't hit me at first. And then I watched it again and I was like, hold on a second. So we're down 2 goals and we finally score that goal. Addie McCain, she gets that header. There is the briefest high fives as everybody is running back to center field with the ball. Ekich immediately goes into the
Grabs
net,
the ball.
grabs that ball. They all take off to the center field to get the ball back on the center circle so they can restart the play. Like nobody is stopping and doing these grand celebrations. They're all just doing quick high fives as they're running. And that for like the image is burned in my head. Like I was like, holy crap. Like they want to win bad. They're not worried about burning time, being like, we scored a goal. We did it. We scored a goal. They're being like, hey, we scored a goal, but we got business. Let's move. And they moved. And that
Yeah.
right there was a signal like we are going to do something about this game. And I think it's not even just a signal for that game. That is our signal for the season. That's the team that we're going to be. That we are business. Like we're going to be down goals sometimes, but we've got things to take care of, and everybody's going to be locked in on the task at hand, which is trying to make sure that we get as many points as possible. And so that was just insanely encouraging to see from this squad. Like that showed the character of the squad in game 1, and now I'm just so incredibly hyped for the rest of the season. I had to get that off my chest. I don't know if everybody noticed that, but
Yeah.
because it hit me the second time I watched, and then I was like, "Whoa, okay."
Yeah. Uh, Honestly, the change that was made that in the 61st minute, Weiner and Moyer were both subbed on, right? And from that moment was kind of like the switch of the game for us. It's when we took over. And honestly, that lineup with them two instead of, the people who were on, that's our best lineup for sure. I would change the goalkeeper. We can talk about that, later, but it was like an immediate impact. Weiner gets in the game and she's aggressive as hell with it and she's
Yeah.
putting it on them and eventually she gets the goal and there were a few times where she could have scored more, like, if someone laid it out to her. She was open many times. Like she's just so good at, like, I think to have her as a super sub is so silly. I think she should be starting. Like, I don't know. It's a good team. I think there's a lot of really, really good players on this team, and the fight they showed, like you said, Tyler, like they wanted it. They wanted to get the goal, and they wanted to get another one. When Mackenzie scored, she was like, "Let's go." That was the mentality. Like, let's go. Let's get another. You can't get complacent. I don't know. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a good moral victory, to be honest with you. Like, uh, I was expecting us to not do that at all. Like I wasn't expecting us to play that well, period, and then let alone to fight back and earn the draw.
Yeah.
See, based on preseason and the signings we had, I would disagree a little bit with it didn't expect to play that well. I think
Mm-hmm.
just with the energy of watching the women play previously and knowing the players, each of the players' stats and their like history with previous teams, I could tell. I felt like we've put together something really um wow, the word just left my
Incredible.
brain. Exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Dope.
Special. Yeah. Yeah,
Phenomenal.
I think we put together a really special team. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this in future games. Just
Yeah.
as far as like, okay, we're down, but we're not. And granted, we saw a lot of. I feel like we still saw a lot of that in the team last season. We just weren't able to get the results that we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think we see a lot of fight and a lot of energy, but I think we also have the combination of I think we'll get the results as well.
Yeah. I 100% agree. And Dylan, you're right about the Kinsey Weinert's Shea Moyer change. That is when the spark kind of took off. And I see what you're saying about Weinert and being like that's an immediate start. I also don't hate that though for super sub. It's kind of like if we were to take it back to the men's talk when we were discussing whether or not it should be Corey Burke or Forster Ajago starting. I could also see a world where like Corey Burke starts and then all of a sudden when everybody's tired on the other team, you throw somebody like Ajago in and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, what the heck? This guy's pressing the heck out of me, and I've been playing for 90 minutes. I can't keep up." And so I feel like maybe Kinsey did a little bit of that to Fort Lauderdale, where they were like, well, what's going on there? Like, chill." And I think that was really important. And of course, Shea's super energetic, and I think they injected their own energy into the rest of the team, and then that's what got us a lot of those goals is just having that renewed energy out there, which was absolutely awesome. And we got to talk about Pantuso as well. It's like she was involved in two different goals. Like, of course, she had that assist, and then she ends up getting that goal of her own. I noticed with a lot of our set pieces, we're setting up on those back posts really nice. There were a lot of times where I thought we were going to have a goal off of delivery into the back post, and service was so good, and there was always somebody there in the right spot. There were just lots of times where defense managed to squeak by and get us out of the way, which is really, really cool because, sometimes you see these set pieces where it's like frantic from teams and it's just like, well, just get people in the box, just get them in that area and somebody will get it. But this felt like it was like, no, we have a plan. Like you can go to this person or this person, but we are going to aim for somebody. And we were really, really great about doing that. It was just really, really encouraging on a lot of levels for this team. And who knows? We might not have like our final version of our starting 11. It could be like the men's team where it kind of goes through evolutions and changes as things refine. I do think that what I saw from them wasn't just only the incredible talent and the fight from the team. I think coaching played a really big role because I think what we're seeing is there's, at least from this first game, it seemed to me that there was a clear vision of how we're going to play, how we're going to structure ourselves on the field, and how we're going to kind of carry out our games. And I think sometimes we had that happen last season where you could tell that the coaching wasn't quite as clear
Hmm.
in certain circumstances. And a lot of that's because we're switching players into four different positions game to game. We're switching personnel, we're switching formations, we're switching tactics. And that was happening so much last year. And this game gave the sense that like there was a vision that was conveyed and practiced in preseason. And now it was time to execute. And everybody was prepared and ready to execute that vision. And so I think it was really good sign for me that those things were melding like they should have been melding for us to be able to get 3 goals out of this and ultimately a point. And it was almost 3 points, right? Like aside from that bogus PK that was awarded to
Ugh.
Fort Lauderdale, I I I don't know. I'd have to see it from another angle or slow down, but it definitely looked like there was a little bit of embellishment out of Fort Lauderdale's player to earn that PK. But that's neither here nor there. It happened. The fact is, we managed to scrap back from 2 down to go up a goal on them until that happened, which is
Mhm.
encouraging.
I think like our biggest weak point in the game was our goalkeeping. To be honest, I think you know, different goalkeeper in net. I honestly think it's 3-0. If I'm being completely honest. The free kick was our keeper was late off the jump and didn't read it well. The second goal was she made an error in passing and it led directly to the goal. And then, not her fault on not her fault getting a penalty, there's that. But then when taking, in the penalty kick, she jumps completely the wrong way and completely way ahead of time. Like Jasmine Hamid didn't even take the kick yet, and our keeper's already diving, one way. I really think this could have been an easy win for us with a different keeper in the net. If I'm being 100% honest, like I just think all of those could have been preventable.
And she's kind of a hothead too. There were several moments, and granted you need to be able to stand your ground, but a couple moments like where I was nervous cuz she just straight up shoved another like the a Fort Lauderdale player. Um yeah, so I don't know. It um just her general demeanor it yeah, is interesting. I don't know quite what I think yet. I haven't decided.
And I'm okay with that though. Like, I think she was aware of how far to push it. And I think sometimes as a keeper, you have to kind of get into people's brains a little bit because
Yeah.
sometimes players take a little bit of liberty and they kind of decide to give you a little bit of a push or an elbow or kind of like, the dark arts. And they're
Mhm.
like, everybody's watching the keeper, so you're not going to do anything. And so sometimes as a keeper, you have to establish your ground and be like, no, you're not going to be doing that. So
Right.
I don't hate it too much because I mean, honestly, you see that out of field players all the time, and it's like
True, true.
a little bit of that as long as you keep it at the right level. And I just think, you know, I think she did okay for me. She had some really great saves. I thought that she had some really awesome ones, like that one tip over that was coming up, and she just popped it over and looked like it was going in. The first goal, I think that was a matter of it was just really good ball placement. You can't see quite the trajectory the way she shoots it coming around the wall, and so it's as soon as you see it, it's almost too late. And so I don't really falter for that. The pass, like the distribution one for the second goal, that was a little scary, but I feel like sometimes those things happen early in the season where you're trying to get your legs underneath you. I mean, we even saw that with our goalkeeping last year too, where like some of the early games, they'd do a couple things, and you're like, oh no. But then I think things smoothed out eventually. Um, I just feel like sometimes it's a matter of field players in those early games, whenever they're trying to shake the rust off and kind of get into the mode, they make mistakes. They're not always quite as egregious because of the position they play. Like, for instance, you're a striker and maybe you got a little bit of nerves and you whiff a ball or you like send it over the bar and everybody's like, dang, I wish we had a goal. Versus it's a lot less forgiving whenever you're a keeper and then you're trying to get into your flow and your pattern in the very first game of the season, and then you have a couple mess ups, and then everybody's like, man, like that keeper. And so I think I'm gonna take everything with a little bit of that perspective right now because it's really really tough to afford yourself mistakes as a keeper early on and then be like, all right, I can shake it off. Where everybody else has that luxury in a sense of being like, yeah, I made a mistake, but it wasn't like that big a deal. It was in midfield and nothing really happened bad from it because I had four other players behind me that were able to help me clean it up. So I think there's time. I think there's time before I'm like, oh man, I don't know about that. I really feel good about who I saw based on this performance. And I think just us being as scrappy as we were and everybody kind of having the same energy. Everybody's energy matched to me, and I think that was really really important for a team. I think that it spells like we're going to have some good things coming as soon as things kind of smooth out. Because yeah, we had some preseason games, but I mean, even preseason, it just doesn't feel like regular season. It just doesn't. It doesn't have the same weight. It doesn't have the same like, oh man, we're starting for real, and these points actually matter, and these goals actually matter, and these saves actually matter. It's not a warm up anymore. It's go time, and that comes with some growing pains, especially for a new team. So I think I have confidence that everybody will continue to smooth out, and of course, like I said, we might see some plug and play, some testing, some reiteration of like, okay, maybe we want to try and do this here, um, but I think I feel confident even if we were to just roll this out again the next match and be like, okay, this will be okay. Yeah, Nate, eat some hay. Dylan's
Yep.
deep in thought.
I got
Yeah,
nothing.
he fell
Yeah.
asleep. But no, like so going into these future matches, okay, looking at some of these things, we got some good stuff to build off of. Okay, so we have a defender that was involved in 2 goals. I mean, like I already mentioned her being at the back post off of that service, but when we were talking about our goal of the week, and I was talking about adding McCain's goal, that was Ali Pantuso's service from
Hmm.
deep back in our territory. She sent that ball flying, and it was perfect. It was right to Addie McCain. Of course, Addie McCain had to, do a little battling for it, and she earned that goal 1,000,000%. But it was really, really nice to see that level of service, right? Because we know what Maddie Perez can do. She's one of those people that can deliver some pretty stellar service, especially from a dead ball. And so now then you see that we got another player that we're like, oh, they can deliver that too. Because that's one of my favorite things is when you have defenders that can deliver that stuff, because then it allows all your attackers to be up in the mix. You don't have to sacrifice pulling an attacker back to deliver the dead ball. Like they can be up there to do what they do best. So that's super encouraging to see from us. And then of course, we had high expectations for people like Addie McCain, Kinsey Weiner, Amina Ekic. And I feel
Hmm.
like they're already delivering right out of the
Yep.
gate. And we've been burned in the past as a club, right? As a club, we've had between all of our teams lots of hype around players, and where it's like, okay, get ready. This player is gonna score 5 million goals and have 20 assists a game, and the hype is there. And we've been burned several times, and I feel like this is the very first time where immediately out of the gate, our expectations were not left wanting. I feel like they were fully met in regards to like who can deliver and who's going to be an impact player on this team. I think we're already seeing that. It's already been established, and it's no longer a question of, okay, well, they did it in this place. Can they now do it in Lexington? I think,
Hmm.
so far we're getting off on the right foot with answering that question. So, that for me is a really big positive from this match.
Agreed.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I didn't doubt the three that you named. Weiner, McCain, Ekich. I didn't
Oh,
doubt that
no.
those players would be not
Yeah.
good or anything. So
No.
I just want to see them on the field all the time. That's why I was
Yeah.
saying like Kenzie just needs to be a starter. Like that just needs to
Yeah.
happen.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. I don't think any of us doubted them. It's just nice to be validated. You know what I mean? Because we've not always been validated in past seasons with our club history. It's always like, you better watch out, guys, because this team we put together is amazing. And then, things happen, right? And it feels good to have validation as fans
Hmm.
that we're like, okay, this is going to be great. We're going to have a solid team, and these people are going to contribute at the same level. And I know it's early. It's just game one, but at least the signs are there. They're here in green as opposed to elsewhere in some other color, right? Um,
Hmm.
so I am really, really confident in that. And it is kind of nice that we have a week in between our first match and our next one. Because, and I know momentum is great, but I really like that we got a chance to play one league match. Now we can clean things up, kind of figure things out, and then come back at home even more polished against Brooklyn, against Shin. Tear. Sad tear.
Well, in
Sorry, Shin.
Brooklyn, they won their game against Tampa. So
Yeah. Which, I mean, they look dangerous. I mean, all these teams are kind of new looks at this point. So,
yep.
it's so funny seeing all these predictions based on last year's team and saying, well, last year they did this and last year this. No team is 100% the same. I mean, really, that's kind of how all leagues are, right? But I feel like even with this one, it's going to be a mixed bag again,
Hmm.
and we got a new team in the mix. Never played here before until this weekend. And so, I think there are a lot of questions that are going to be answered in the coming weeks and even as the season goes on. And I just hope that we continue to answer the question of whether or not we can be good this year. I think we can. I feel really, really good about this. And even thinking about doing our player of the match vote for the women's team. It was pretty obvious who we could put up, right? Because you had lots of contributors that were can't speak visually. Oh man, visually they're doing the things they were supposed to be doing, and the votes went crazy. There were so many votes that were submitted for each of these players, and it was kind of neck and neck for a few of them. So it'll be interesting when the dust settles on this one. But um, I'm really really psyched for what we got building, and I think that this is an encouraging match to build off of for our first official home game of 2025 for the women's team. Um, that's going to be really great, or the 25-26 season anyway.
Favorite player so far can only pick one. You can't
Can
pick two.
only pick one. Can
Oh,
only pick one.
for the women?
Yikes. Dylan, you gotta
Yes.
go first. You gotta go first since you
Oh,
raised the question.
but it was my question. I asked you guys.
Yeah, yeah. That means you have somebody in mind. So you
Oh,
gotta
I
go
do.
first.
Do I?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the obvious answer is like Ekich, right? Because like she just does it all. It's kind of like insane. I think it's just a matter of time before like an NWSL will scoop her up. I really think that's a possibility with how just quality she is. Um, I mean, if you didn't watch the game and you go back and watch it, you can just see how much like out of the league compared to everyone else she is. She's just incredibly talented. Um, so I don't know. She's not my favorite though. I don't know. I think like favorite is always like a combination of different factors, like what position you like, what, they bring to the table as opposed to just like who do you think the best player is? I think those are two different questions, right? Who do I think the best player is? I think Amina is the best player. My favorite player, I think, was probably Bourgeois. I really liked her getting involved, in the attack and moving along the right side. So that's my pick. Tyler lost internet, so we're without him for a second. So Jess, you're leading.
Oh, I don't know. I do think it's funny how he's frozen like that.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yep.
Like he's listening in. Yeah.
Very intently. Gosh. I really liked the energy that Weinert brought in when she got subbed in. Like she came in and was just ready to go. And just was very aggressive.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's my point about her.
So I would thinking about all this has made me realize like maybe I just didn't watch the game as closely as I thought I did. I was also really tired from Saturday night.
I didn't watch it right away. I started it on Sunday and then I finished it today. So
yeah, we watched it Sunday. Yeah, I think I was just worn out from the weekend because William had a game Saturday and we went straight from his game to the men's game, and then he had another game Sunday afternoon, and we got home and immediately watched the women's game. So, yeah, I would say Weiner was the one that immediately sticks out, but also Pentuso had a really great
Yeah.
game too. So, hey, there he is. Yeah, so I would probably in that sense probably since she played the entire 90, I'd say Pintuso. And a fun fact, she played every minute of all last season, which
Yep.
I didn't
Mhm.
know that. And
It's
like,
wild.
so yeah. So I think it'd be really cool if we got to see that again this season. But yeah, I think she had an awesome game.
Okay.
What?
So
Nothing. I won't.
Okay.
I won't.
he's mad at you for jinxing it. He's mad at you.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I did it. I put
You
it
can't
into
say
the
things out loud.
I know, I put it into the universe. I'm sorry.
Why you gotta be this way?
So if something, yeah.
Jeez.
If something, no, I'm not even.
Yes.
I'm not even.
That's
I won't.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop
I,
it. No
I'll
more.
dig myself out of that hole and just say, Tyler, you go.
Yay! All right. So, my internet died on me. In the middle of us talking. So Dylan, did you stick with Ekich?
No, I said bourgeois.
Ooh, okay. So I am torn between those three that you all mentioned. Okay. Ekich is electric. I think she's so phenomenally fun to watch. Bourgeois is just no nonsense. I
She's
love how physical
feisty.
she is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. Like those players, they try to give her crap, and she's like, "You're not doing that. You're just
Mm-hmm.
not." And I absolutely loved that. I love a feisty defender. It's my favorite. I know some people get a little like antsy about it, but I'm like, yes, do it. Um, and then Pentuso, I mean, man, she's just so solid. And just watching her versatility and all the things that she could do as a defender and affect the play of the field was just amazing. So, um,
Yep.
oh, there was a lot of great people to choose from out of this one. And I feel like this will evolve as time goes on. I'm going to say off the cuff. Okay, since Dylan, you officially said Bourgeois, and then Jessica, you said officially Pentuso. I'll say officially Ekich. Okay, we'll do that.
There we
That way
go.
we don't have doubles. That way we can just call the gambit and be good with it. But those are all good choices. I really
Yep.
was thinking during the match though, watching Bourgeois. I was like, oh man, I like you. I like
Yeah,
you
that
a
was
lot.
like the
Like,
immediate. I was like, man, I like how she plays.
yes,
Reminds
Mhm.
me of
I know.
Kelly O'Hara from U.S. Women's National Team. She's retired
Yeah,
now, but back in the day.
yeah. I thought you were gonna say it reminds you of that time that I shouldered that guy off the sidelines.
And then tore your hamstring.
Nothing professional
No, that
athletes
was a
do
different
reminds me of
game.
you, Tyler.
It's
Oh,
a different
okay.
game, Jess.
Oh,
Come
the one where
on.
they,
Yeah, the guy that
yeah,
was bulldozing through people
our
and stuff.
favorite, and we had our favorite
Ugh.
referee.
Yeah, yeah, but that's okay.
Fun
It's
fact
okay.
for those who are familiar, remember the story of our terrible referee experience. He was the referee for my son's game on Sunday, and I feel like I had to get a baseball cap, sunglasses, so he wouldn't recognize me, and then call the game terribly for my
Yeah.
son's team.
Except that his next game, all of Atletico Madrid's gonna show up in uniform just to be like, "What up?" No.
If he refs
Baseball
again, I
bats.
don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Hey there, guy. No. Man, that was
Anyways,
bad though. That was bad.
yeah.
Uh, okay. So there are lots of players we didn't get a chance to see that either were in the 18 but didn't make appearances or not in the 18 at all. I'm curious to see how that evolves. There's lots of really good talent on this team. So time will tell where we land. But hey, we'll see. At least we got a baseline. I'm happy that we have a baseline. I'm happy that Super League's back. I'll be even happier in a couple weeks whenever they're at home and we get to cheer them on in person. That's going to be amazing. And of course, LSC just dropped all of the different theme days for their games. So that's even better. We got a list of all those out there for us. So it's nice to see the club continue to do those different theme days and kind of jazz up the games a little bit, right? Make them have a little bit extra character, extra stuff going on that can entice people to come in and watch them play. Because, I mean, we need that. We need to improve attendance, especially for the women's team. I hope it really shows out. At least, I understand not everybody's a sicko like us and going to sit and 35-degree weather rain. But for these games that are in the really nice months, like support has to be big.
Well, and one of the challenges for the women is a lot of the games are earlier in the day
Yeah.
when, like, I mean, there will definitely be like scheduling conflicts. Like there might, so
Right.
I don't know. I feel like they've got that going against them. Do you want me? I've got the promos pulled up if you want me to run through them real quick.
Sure. Hit us with
Okay.
them.
September 7th, first Brooklyn, powered by Her Night. Enjoy a pre-match concert and support local girls teams and female-owned businesses all afternoon long. And the giveaway is a powered by Her wristband and commemorative ticket presented by Gainbridge.
That's good.
September 20th, first Spokane, Oktoberfest at the Pitch and $1.50 beer night. Giveaway is an LSE Stein, and they'll have live polka band, Stein Hoist contest for all ages, and our first ever beer garden experience. September 26th, Hometown Heroes Appreciation Night. Get up close with emergency vehicles, meet local police and fire personnel, and help us honor those who serve our community with a special on-field tribute. No giveaway for that. October 10th, against Carolina, Mental Health Awareness Night. And join us on the concourse for the Mental Health Awareness Fair. And the giveaway is an Amina Ekic 10 jersey shirt. I don't know if...
I'm assuming that means like game worn or something.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Which is dope.
Yeah, that would be really cool. But only one person would get it. So it's
Yeah.
like, anyway. October 19th versus Fort Lauderdale again. So LC Fall Festival and Pink Out. So they'll have hay rides, food trucks, pumpkin painting, and cozy fall vibes before kickoff, and a pre-match concert and festive giveaways. And the giveaway will be an LSC scarf.
Heck yeah.
So that'll be pretty cool. October 31st, be interesting to see what the attendance will be like for Halloween with a lot of families. But they will be having a trunk or treat, and it is $1.50 beer night. So they will you can join the costume parade, so you can come all dressed up, hit the trunk or treat, and enjoy $1.50 beers. There will be a costume contest, and let's see, December 6th against Spokane, holidays in the bluegrass. And you can bring a teddy bear for the halftime toss. Let the kids create their own ornaments in the fan zone and get into the holiday spirit at the stadium. Then finally, December 13th is just another $1.50 beer day.
Just?
Yeah.
Just
Jessica?
Put some respect on those promos. No. No, it is dope to see all those. Yeah, that'll be cool. I realize that I have not been training for my beer stein holding competition. Last year I lost, and I have not been doing my training regimen. So I've got time. I got this.
Do you still have Kyle's?
I do.
So you can practice with both.
It's still in my car from a year ago. And yes, eventually we'll remember to exchange this. So yeah.
Goodness.
one day. Now he'll just have two. But no, I'm excited about these. Lots of good stuff. Only men's soccer this weekend. Women's soccer has a bye week already. They just got us with a teaser, but we'll be back at home against Brooklyn the following weekend, so we won't have to wait too much longer. In the meantime, we're not going to tell you who, but we do have an interview that we're going to be hooking you guys up with next week. So just kind of keep your eyes and ears out for that. It's going to be somebody special. We're really, really excited for this one. It's been a minute since we've done an interview, but we got one lined up, and it should be a good time and hopefully a really, really sweet interview for you all. But is there anything that we missed? I think that's it. I think we got it all, didn't we? Jessica hit us with all the promos. We got them all. Now she's frozen. So,
Am I really?
all right. No, now you're back. Look, you
Oh.
reappeared. Yeah, it might just be my internet. It's so bad tonight, but that's okay. All right, then. Well, long episode. Hopefully everybody hung in with us. If you didn't, then now you don't realize that Dylan's giving everybody $5 at the next game if you
Nope.
listened in to this point.
Never
What?
said that.
Whoop, he didn't.
Nope.
Okay, well, never mind.
Don't hit me up.
No, my mistake.
Don't hit me
You can
up.
find him in the front row.
Nope.
Looking for the camera.
Won't
Get
be
him.
there.
All right, guys. Well, until the next home match, which will be a minute because we're away. 10:30 at night kickoff this weekend, blah. But until the next home match, we'll see you at the stables at some point. Otherwise, late night this Saturday, you know what it is. Come on, you Greens.